those who prove worthy, paradise awaits.
Took a long time for him to get out of this game.
He's meant for this life.
Oh, crap!
Last I checked, we're all a bunch of thieves, digging around where we shouldn't.
Shame we're not on the same side.
I am a man of fortune, and I must seek my fortune.
Okay, so recently I've been getting into Uncharted more and more, and I just, saw the movie. I just finished the second and third game, and I was particularly looking forward to this one because they just came out with a new PS5 update or re-release that you could do an upgrade path from your PS4 copy. And I had played this on the PlayStation 4 years ago. Actually, the copy I have is the copy I got with my PlayStation 4 system bundled in. I still have the copy right here. It's one of the first PlayStation 4 games I ever owned. The case is still in incredible condition. And, I decided to keep this when I sold my PS4. And I still have the case for the upgrade path. You can actually get a $10 upgrade moving this from a PlayStation 4 version to a PS5 version if you have the disc. And one neat thing is if, let's say you only have Uncharted 4 and you get the $10 upgrade, you get Lost Legacy bundled in with that. So technically, the $10 upgrade isn't just an upgrade of this game, it's also an additional game. Vice versa with Lost Legacy. If you only have Lost Legacy, you get Uncharted 4 as well. So they're kind of bound together in with that upgrade, and it's a very good deal in my personal opinion. And so I was looking forward to playing this on the PlayStation 5 and all of its, updated glory. And honestly, I had probably the same experience I had with it the first time I played this game. And so I'm going to get into that now.
No offense to these guys, but they don't get it.
If you're done lying to me, then you should stop lying to yourself.
The biggest pirate treasure of all time is within our grasp.
Look, Nate, I'm gonna make you a one-time offer. Drop everything. Go home. Live your life. Or we can just end it right here.
There's gotta be another way. I need you on this one.
You ever wonder, different choices, how we might have ended up?
Okay, so first things first, I want to focus a little bit on what kind of is new with the PlayStation 5 version. So, obviously, the file size, it's much smaller, or not terribly smaller, but it is a considerable amount smaller than the PlayStation 4 version. Now, admittedly, the PS5 version does not come with multiplayer of either of the two games, which is fine because this series never really has been a big thing about multiplayer, and at least in my opinion, it's always been about the story. So with this, it's a little bit more of a manageable file size on your PS5, and also it loads much faster. Now, I never had an issue with Uncharted's loading times, but with this, it does load a considerable amount faster, and so yeah, the solid state drive on this PS5 does do a good job giving you less load times. I mean, honestly, I can get from the main menu of the PS5 to the game itself in a grand total of 10 to 20 seconds. That is it. Originally on the PS4, it'd take me about a minute to get from the main menu of my PS4 into gameplay. And so, the faster loading times are very nice. And the big thing is there's 3 modes. There's a high performance mode, there's a performance mode, and then there is a quality mode. Now, the quality mode is your 4K, 240 by whatever P, whatever thing, running at 30 frames per second, like the original Uncharted was running at 30 frames per second. Then there's performance mode, which drops it down a little bit to like, I think, over 1440 or like over 1440, but it runs it at a locked 60 frames per second. And then there's high performance mode, which drops it down to like 900p, but it's running at 120 frames per second. Now, I don't have a TV that can run at 120 frames per second, and I'm perfectly fine with 60 frames per second. So I kept it on performance. Usually I will go with the quality over performance, but quite frankly, I did not notice a huge difference between quality mode and performance mode. So I went to performance mode to get the faster frame rates, and boy, does this thing look nice running at 60 frames per second locked. I mean, it is gorgeous. But moving on to the core game itself, regardless of PS5 or PS4 version, the story is exceptional. This series has had really great writing, and like with the third game, the writing really kind of kicked it up a little bit, and with the fourth game, I would say the writing in this fourth game is probably the best out of the entire series, because they do an incredible job with voice dialogue, scene scenarios, and also the voice acting is truly exceptional. Like, not one cringy line I could see in this video game. It was that good. And so with the exceptional voice acting and the excellent writing, this story just like grabbed me and did not let me go until the credits started rolling. And so I won't say it's rare now these days to get a video game story like that, but it is very, very lovely when you get a video game that has such an excellent story, such a great cast of voice acting, and like the pacing in this game is exceptional, and I absolutely love it. Another thing I really like is in original games, when you would climb up something, platforming, there would be these very clear handholds, like bright red or bright yellow handholds. So it's like, okay, that's a bright yellow box, I could go grab on that. And while that works for like some things like Mirror's Edge, when you're in a jungle that hasn't been seen by man for over 500 years, it's kind of weird seeing yellow handholds everywhere. And the second Uncharted kind of really had a problem with this. It kind of improved a little bit with Uncharted 3, but like, yeah, it was a problem with Uncharted 2. And Uncharted 4, they fixed that, where now handholds are just like indents into the side of rock. And the handholds in this game feel so realistic, they feel believable, they feel like, yeah, I might actually come across that in the wild, unlike a giant yellow box or a giant red box that is hanging off the side of a mountain. And so that I really liked. It's a small thing, but that attention to detail is what makes this game so great. This game has incredible attentions to detail of the likes I haven't seen in other games. And then this game plays so much fun. The gunplay is incredible. I love the gun combat. I love the variety of weapons you come across. And I love how whenever your character gets in or out of the vehicle, they will take off their back rifle and set it down in between the seats and then get in. Every time. The developers did not need to put that attention to detail in the game, but they did. And it looks so realistic and believable every single time you do it. I loved it. The mechanics they did with the driving is so much better this time around. I like the winch, the stupid little winch like thing you can do to move stuff around and add like a new element to like puzzle solving. And so like that part I absolutely love. You gotta drive like 2 vehicle segments. And then they've introduced some much larger maps. More larger than I've ever seen before in an Uncharted game. And like the Madagascar level where you're driving around, that thing is massive. And I absolutely love that. But probably my favorite scene in this entire game is the escape level from Madagascar. This thing, oh my gosh, this thing would make every action director smile with joy, including Michael Bay. I mean, this thing feels so awesome. This was such an incredible escape sequence, and it's not something you watch, it's something you play. And there's very few cutscenes during this sequence, so most of the action happening in this sequence is you doing it, and it's one of my favorite video game levels of all time. I would put this in probably my top 10 favorite video game levels of all time. That's how incredible this level was. And then another thing that I love about this game is the insanely beautiful character models and the graphics. I mean, even on the PlayStation 4, this thing was shockingly beautiful. But on the PlayStation 5, with the improved textures and the improved lighting added in, man, this thing at times looks photorealistic. I shit you not. I mean, this thing is such a looker. This thing is so beautiful, and it runs incredibly well. 60 frames per second really helps. And then you go to so many cool locations. You get to go to Scotland, you get to go to Italy, Madagascar, the tropics, and then like even the different locations have variations in them. So like, yeah, you get to see the fields and like the castle in Scotland off in distance, but you also get to go down into like the caves of Scotland. And then Madagascar, you get like multiple locations in Madagascar, and then multiple locations in that tropical region. And so like, just you get that really great high adventure vibe that you've seen in so many like Indiana Jones movies and other, you know, high adventure movies like that. Now, I've been praising this game nonstop, and I try to look for any negative I can find in the game, and like I really had to stretch to find anything negative about this game. Admittedly, on the PlayStation 4 version I was playing, there was one time my character's leg clipped through the environment as he was climbing up the side of a rock wall. This game is unplayable. No. I've known people who will see a bug and they just throw their controller across the room. It's like, this is a piece of shit. It's like, it's a bug. Calm down. But yeah, so on the PS4 version, I saw that one graphical bug. That was it. The PS4 version, to me, was like technically flawless. The PS5 version, not so much. I saw a couple of times of graphical clipping where my character didn't move on the right portion, or his leg or arm went through something. It didn't happen a lot, but it happened like once every 5 hours. So, is that a negative? I don't know. I don't think so, simply because it's really rare when it happens. It never crashes the system, and it's just kind of a funny thing. The game still works fine through it. I mean, it's really rare. And then if I have to nitpick and split hairs, I would say I probably didn't like how they handled the two Nadine fights. There were two fight scenes in this game where you're fighting against Nadine. She's this like owner of this mercenary company. And in previous games, they always gave you like the option of winning a fight, except for this one. In this game, you are going to lose both those fights. There's no way around it. It doesn't matter how quick your fingers are. It doesn't matter how good of a gamer you are going to lose these two fights. And it's just, it felt really restrictive for the amount of freedom that this series always gave you with other elements, and especially like with fist fights and hand-to-hand combat. It just kind of seemed like the controller was being taken out of my hands. It's like, okay, just watch the show. Because it's like, seriously? Like, why are you giving me button prompts then? Like, you're making me think I could win this fight, but there is no way you can win either of these two fights. And so, like, if I'm really splitting hairs, like, I didn't like that, but to be completely honest, those aren't deal breakers. Those aren't even, like, things that would make me give the game a negative point against it. They didn't really, hurt the overall experience. It was just like, that's unfortunate. But so, in the end, Uncharted 4 is like one of the best PlayStation 4 games I've ever played, and it deserved its PlayStation 5 update. And so, after reviewing this game, playing it a second time, I have to give it this. It is that good. This is one of the best PlayStation 4 games I've ever played. This is a truly magnificent game. A work of craftsmanship. This is one of the best Naughty Dog games I've ever played, period. And to be frank, I think this is a good ending point to the Uncharted series. There's rumors about another Uncharted game being made. I would say, don't screw around. You have a perfect series right now as it is. You're just risking a chance of ruining it, because this was an incredible finale to an incredible 4-part series. And so, absolutely, if you haven't played this yet, you need to play this if you're a gamer, obviously. I mean, it is that good. And I'm giving it the best possible score I could give it, which I do not give out very often. So, that has been my review of Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. My name is Christopher Connor with 11th Hour Reviews. Don't forget to, do the thing. Just do the thing. And that will be all.